The massive alien warship hung in Earth's orbit like a storm cloud made of metal and menace. Commander Stone stood at the bridge's viewing window, his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he observed the blue planet below. His silver skin reflected the soft glow of Earth's atmosphere, and his large, dark eyes narrowed in concentration. "Status report," he commanded, his voice echoing through the bridge. "All ships in position, Commander," his first officer replied. "The Earth Defense Fleet remains in their current formation. They haven't made any aggressive moves." Commander Stone turned away from the window, his long coat swishing dramatically. "They don't seem very concerned about our presence. Most species would be panicking by now." The bridge crew worked silently at their stations, monitoring the thousands of human communications being broadcast from the planet. News channels worldwide were covering the alien fleet's arrival, but something seemed off about the humans' reactions. "Sir," called out the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from their United Earth Defense Council." "Put it through," Stone ordered, straightening his posture. The main screen flickered to life, showing a human in a blue uniform. The nameplate identified him as Captain James of the Earth Defense Force. The human smiled, which Stone found unsettling. Who smiles during a potential invasion? "Greetings, Alliance vessels," Captain James said, his tone surprisingly cheerful. "I hope you're having a pleasant day up there. Would you mind explaining why you've brought your fleet into our orbit?" Commander Stone blinked his large eyes slowly. "Pleasant day," he muttered under his breath before composing himself. "I am Commander Stone of the Galactic Alliance. We have come to demand Earth's immediate surrender." "Oh," Captain James raised an eyebrow. "And why would we do that?" "Because," Stone's voice grew deeper with practiced menace, "we possess a weapon that will strike terror into the hearts of all humans. A beast so fearsome that your ancestors spoke of it in whispered warnings." To Stone's frustration, Captain James looked more intrigued than frightened. "Really? That sounds fascinating. What kind of beast are we talking about?" Stone glanced at his first officer, who appeared equally confused by the human's casual response. This wasn't how conquest negotiations usually went. "You mock us?" Stone demanded. "Our scientists have recreated your planet's most legendary predator. Your own historical records speak of its ferocity. Entire civilizations feared its howl in the night." "Historical records?" James leaned forward, genuinely curious. "Could you be more specific?" Stone gestured to his science officer, who displayed ancient human images on the screen. "These, your own documents call them wolves, the beasts that haunted your species' nightmares for millennia." There was a moment of silence on the bridge. Then, to everyone's surprise, Captain James started chuckling. He quickly tried to hide it behind his hand, but his shoulders were shaking with barely contained laughter. "Is something amusing about your impending doom?" Stone asked, his silver skin flushing slightly darker with anger. "No, no," James composed himself, though his eyes still twinkled. "Please continue. You were saying something about terror and surrendering." Stone slammed his hand on his command console. "You dare to laugh? Perhaps you need a demonstration. Shall I unleash our beast upon your cities?" "Well," James smiled diplomatically, "if you think that's necessary. Though I should warn you." "Enough." Stone cut him off. "You leave us no choice. Prepare the containment chamber," he ordered his crew. "Let them witness true fear." As the transmission ended, Stone noticed something odd. The human captain had been smiling even wider at the end, and there seemed to be excited chatter among the bridge crew in the background. "Sir," his first officer approached cautiously, "something doesn't feel right about this." Stone waved him off. "They're just putting on a brave face. Once they see what we've created, their false confidence will crumble." He turned to address his crew. "Begin the deployment sequence. Let Earth tremble before our might." As his crew rushed to follow orders, Stone couldn't shake an uneasy feeling. In all his years of commanding surrender negotiations, he'd never encountered a species that smiled at threats. Perhaps humans were even stranger than their initial data suggested. Little did Commander Stone know, but he was about to learn just how strange humans could be, especially when it came to what they considered fearsome. Deep within the Alliance flagship's research sector, Commander Stone marched down the gleaming corridor, his boots clicking against the polished floor. The science team scrambled to attention as he entered their main laboratory. Chief Researcher Wells, Stone called out to his lead scientist, "Is our weapon ready?" The elderly researcher adjusted his protective suit and gestured toward a large reinforced containment chamber at the center of the lab. "Yes, Commander. Would you like to see our greatest achievement?" Stone nodded, and Wells pressed a button that illuminated the chamber. Inside, something large moved in the shadows. The commander stepped closer to the transparent wall, his dark eyes reflecting the dim light within. "Tell me again," Stone said, "how did we discover this creature's significance?" Wells pulled up a holographic display showing ancient human internet archives. "It was quite fascinating, Commander. While studying Earth's historical data, we found countless references to these wolves. They appeared in something humans called horror stories, cautionary tales, and wilderness survival guides. The display showed old human paintings and early photographs of wolves hunting in packs, their eyes glowing in the darkness. Look at how they documented these beasts," Wells continued excitedly. "They wrote about them stalking humans through forests, hunting in coordinated groups, and having jaws strong enough to crush bones." Stone watched as more images flickered past, wolf silhouettes against full moons, ancient warning signs about wolf territories, and dramatic artwork of fierce wolf packs. The most convincing evidence, Wells added, bringing up more files, was something called Little Red Riding Hood. The humans told this story to their young, warning them about the dangerous wolf that could devour them whole. Clearly, these creatures struck deep terror in human hearts. Stone remembered how his own scientists had spent years piecing together wolf DNA from various sources, enhancing it with their advanced genetic technology. They believed they had recreated humanity's ancient nightmare, making it even larger and more impressive than the original. "And you're certain our version is more fearsome than the original?" Stone asked, watching the shadow pace inside the chamber. "Oh yes," Wells beamed with pride. "We made it 30% larger, enhanced its muscle density, and improved its sensory capabilities. Its howl can be heard from twice the distance of Earth's historical wolves." A deep sound rumbled from the chamber, as if on cue. Several junior scientists jumped, but Stone noticed it sounded different from their test recordings of ancient wolves. "Commander," his first officer's voice came through the ship's communication system, "the human leaders are requesting another conversation. They seem eager to see our weapon." Stone frowned. "Eager? That doesn't make sense. They should be begging us not to release it." "Sir," Wells spoke hesitantly, "I've noticed something odd in more recent human records about wolves. There are some confusing references to—" "No time for that now," Stone cut him off. "Prepare the beast for deployment. I want it ready for display in 10 minutes." As Stone turned to leave, Wells called after him, "Commander, perhaps we should review the additional data about human wolf rel. Their reaction to seeing our weapon will tell us everything we need to know," Stone declared confidently. "Prepare for transport to the presentation chamber." The research team rushed to follow orders, but Wells couldn't shake a nagging feeling. He had recently found some peculiar human images labeled dog shows and best friend that seemed to contradict their initial research. But surely, he thought, their enhanced creation would prove more terrifying than whatever Earth's wolves had become. Inside the containment chamber, their ultimate weapon wagged its tail excitedly, tongue lolling out as it watched the scientists prepare for transport. Its thick, fluffy fur rippled as it bounced around playfully, but none of the aliens seemed to notice anything strange about its behavior. After all, what did they know about proper terrifying beast protocol? As the transport sequence began, one junior scientist whispered to another, "Is it supposed to be making that happy panting sound?" Silence. Stone commanded. "This is a serious military operation. Soon, all of Earth will tremble before our mighty beast." The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor that the Alliance was about to discover. The presentation chamber aboard the Alliance flagship had been specially prepared for this moment. Commander Stone stood proudly before the massive view screen, where the United Earth Defense Council waited. Behind him, a large containment unit was covered by a shimming force field that obscured its contents. "Humans," Stone announced, trying to keep the excitement from his voice. "Your continued resistance has forced our hand. Behold, the instrument of your surrender." He gestured dramatically, and the force field dissolved. The containment unit's walls became transparent, revealing their ultimate weapon. Inside stood a massive, fluffy creature with pointed ears, a thick coat, and bright blue eyes. It was nearly twice the size of an earth wolf, with silver-white fur that shimmered under the chamber's lights. The beast noticed its audience and immediately pressed its nose against the transparent wall, its tail beginning to wag. Stone waited for the screams of terror. Instead, Captain James let out a delighted gasp. "Oh my goodness," the human exclaimed, his face lighting up. "It's absolutely gorgeous. Look at those fluffy ears." "What?" Stone turned to look at his weapon, which had now sat down and tilted its head adorably at the humans on screen. Another council member, an elderly woman, leaned forward. Is that some kind of giant husky? The markings are just beautiful." "No." Stone slammed his fist on the podium. "This is a fearsome beast, a terror that haunted your ancestors. Look at its powerful jaws." The creature chose that moment to yawn, showing its impressive teeth, but then immediately ruined the effect by letting its tongue loll out in a happy pant. "Those are some impressive chompers," Captain James agreed cheerfully. "Perfect for enjoying treats. Do you folks have any space tennis balls up there?" Stone's silver skin had darkened to a confused gray. "Tennis balls?" "Commander," his first officer whispered urgently, "something's very wrong. The humans are showing signs of affection." Indeed, the Earth Defense Council seemed to be competing to get a better view of the creature. Several members had taken out their phones to snap pictures. "Can it do any tricks?" someone called out. The beast, hearing the excited voices, gave a cheerful woof that echoed through the chamber. Several human council members clutched their hearts in adoration. "Silence," Stone roared, his composure cracking. "This is a highly engineered predator. We enhanced its hunting capabilities, its tracking abilities, its fluffiness," Captain James suggested helpfully. "Because I have to say, you did an amazing job with the coat. Look at that tail." The creature's tail was indeed wagging faster now, thumping against the container's wall with enthusiasm. One of the scientists in the background could be heard muttering, "I don't think it's supposed to do that." "Commander," Captain James said, trying to maintain a serious expression but failing, "I think we need to have a little chat about Earth's history with canines. You see, about 30,000 years ago, humans and wolves began a very special relationship." "No," Stone cut him off. "Our research was thorough. We found tales of terror, stories of hunting, warnings about the big bad wolf." "Ah," James nodded sagely. "I see you found our fairy tales. But did you happen to notice any more recent documents? Perhaps about something called dogs?" The chief researcher, Wells, suddenly appeared very interested in studying the floor. Stone rounded on him. "Wells, what aren't you telling me?" "Well, sir," Wells stammered, "I did try to mention. There were some additional files about something called domestication." The creature interrupted with another happy bark, pawing playfully at the transparent wall. Several Earth Council members made cooing sounds. "Commander Stone," Captain James said kindly, "would you like to know what humans did with wolves over thousands of years of friendship? Because I have to say, you've accidentally created what might be the most adorable space dog I've ever seen." Stone looked from his wagging weapon to the delighted humans and back again, his grand plans of conquest crumbling before his eyes. Somewhere in the vast universe, he was sure he could hear the sound of destiny laughing at him. Within hours of the Alliance's weapon reveal, Earth's internet exploded with activity. Commander Stone stood at his command center, watching in horror as countless screens displayed human reactions to their fearsome beast. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "the humans are sharing images of our weapon across something called social media. They're calling it, He checked his screen. A space puppy. Stone's eye twitched. On the main display, videos from the presentation were going viral. Someone had added cheerful music to the footage of their beast wagging its tail. Another version had rainbow effects and heart emojis floating around it. "What's a puppy?" Stone demanded. Wells, the chief researcher, cleared his throat nervously. "It appears, sir, that it's a young dog. And a dog is, well, what wolves became after humans finished making them friendly. #SpacePuppy is trending worldwide," the communications officer announced. "And there's a petition with over 2 million signatures already." "What petition?" Stone asked, dreading the answer. "They want us to start an intergalactic adoption program." In the containment chamber below, their weapon was currently rolling on its back, paws in the air, while 2 human diplomatic representatives scratched its belly. The creature's leg was thumping against the floor in pure joy. "Look at these comments," a junior officer said, unable to hide their fascination. "OMG big GG ist if FLOF ever. Space puppy for president. Who's a good boy? The fearsome alien weapon is a good boy." Stone slumped in his command chair. "Our military reputation is ruined." On screen, Captain James appeared for a scheduled update. He was wearing a T-shirt with their beast's face printed on it, somehow produced within the last few hours. "Commander Stone," James grinned, "you're a social media sensation. The merchandise sales are through the roof. We've had to start a wait list for the plush toys." "Plush toys," Stone repeated weakly. "Little stuffed versions of your adorable space dog," James explained. "Oh, and several major pet food companies want to discuss sponsorship deals." The ship's AI interrupted with an alert. "Commander, we're receiving thousands of messages from Earth. They appear to be adoption applications." Stone turned to Wells. "How did we get this so wrong? Our research indicated these creatures were feared." Wells pulled up his original research files. "Well, sir, we may have focused too much on ancient history, and I may have misinterpreted some modern media. Those movies about wolves. Turns out they were mostly about protecting them, not fearing them." "Sir," another officer called out, "the humans are sharing pictures of their own dogs now. Millions of them. They're having some kind of competition to see whose Earth dog looks most like our weapon." On various screens around the bridge, endless photos of happy Earth dogs scrolled past. Huskies, Malamutes, German Shepherds, and countless other breeds, all with their humans, all looking remarkably similar to their terrifying creation. "And that's not all," the officer continued. "They're sending us ancient human quotes about dogs. Listen to this one. Dogs are not our whole life, but they make our lives whole." Stone watched as their mighty beast, engineered to be the ultimate predator, gleefully chased a tennis ball thrown by a human diplomat. Each bounce of the ball was being live-streamed to millions of viewers. "Commander," his first officer approached cautiously, "what are your orders? Should we retrieve our weapon? Give him the ball," someone shouted from Earth's live feed. "He's such a good boy." Stone looked at his crew's faces. Some were trying to hide smiles. Others were openly watching the creature play with undisguised affection. One security officer was discreetly wiping away what looked suspiciously like a tear of joy. "Sir," the first officer prompted. Stone sighed deeply. "Contact Earth's Defense Council. Tell them we need to discuss this adoption program they mentioned. And someone please explain to me what a dog park is, because they're insisting we need to build one on the ship." In the background, their fearsome weapon let out another happy woof as it bounded after its new favorite toy, completely unaware it had just transformed from a tool of war into the galaxy's most popular pet. Commander Stone sat in the Earth Defense Council's conference room, watching a presentation that was changing everything he thought he knew about humans. Captain James stood before a large screen, showing images that told an incredible story. "You see," James explained, pointing to ancient cave paintings, "this is where it all began. Wolves and humans working together to hunt. Over time, some wolves started staying closer to human camps." Stone leaned forward, fascinated. "They weren't afraid of each other." "Oh, there was fear at first," James nodded. "But both species realized something important. They were stronger together than apart. Watch this." The screen showed a timeline of wolf to dog evolution. Stone's eyes widened as he watched the gradual changes. Shorter snouts, floppier ears, wagging tails, and finally, the countless varieties of modern dogs. "You're saying," Stone struggled to understand, "that humans took their planet's apex predator and made it friendly." "Friendly is just the beginning," James grinned. He switched to videos of working dogs. "Look here, dogs helping us find lost people, guarding homes, guiding the blind, even detecting diseases." In the corner of the room, their weapon was curled up asleep, its huge fluffy head resting on the lap of a human security guard who had been quietly scratching its ears for the past hour. "But how?" Stone asked. "How did you turn a predator into that?" He gestured at the contented creature. "Love," James said simply. "Patience. Understanding. Over thousands of years, we learned to communicate with each other. Dogs learn to read human emotions better than any other species on Earth, and we learned to be worthy of their loyalty." The screen showed more images. Dogs reuniting with soldiers, pulling children from dangerous waters, lying beside hospital beds, and playing in parks. "This is why we weren't afraid of your weapon," James continued. "Humans have a special gift. We don't just tame animals, we befriend them. We form real bonds." Stone's first officer, who had been quietly taking notes, spoke up. "But surely there are Earth creatures you fear, ones you couldn't befriend." James chuckled. "Oh, there are plenty of dangerous animals on Earth, but would you like to know something funny? We've tried to make friends with most of them too." The screen changed to show humans interacting with various animals, hand-feeding tigers, swimming with sharks, riding elephants, and playing with bears. "This is impossible," Stone muttered. "Your species should have been wiped out. Instead, you've turned predators into protectors." "Not just protectors," James corrected. "Family. Ask any dog owner. Their pet isn't just an animal, they're part of the family." As if to prove the point, their weapon chose that moment to wake up, yawn, and waddle over to Stone. Before he could react, it placed its huge head on his knee and looked up at him with those bright blue eyes. "I think someone likes you." James smiled. "Want to try giving him a pat?" Stone hesitated, then slowly reached out. The fur was softer than he expected. When he found a spot behind the ears, the creature's tail started wagging, thumping against the floor rhythmically. "This changes everything we thought we knew about humans," Stone's first officer said quietly. "We thought they were soft because they wasn't afraid, but they weren't afraid because they're incredibly skilled at turning enemies into allies." "Speaking of which," James added casually, "would you like to see some pictures of what we consider actually dangerous? Fair warning. Wait until you see what a honey badger can do." Stone barely heard him. He was too busy marveling at how natural it felt to scratch the giant space dog's ears and wondering if perhaps humans had just taught the Alliance a valuable lesson about true strength. "Captain James," Stone said finally, still petting the content creature, "I believe we have much to learn from Earth about the power of friendship." "Oh, just wait," James grinned. "Wait until you see what we did with cats." The Alliance's command center had been transformed Instead of military displays, the screens now showed Earth's wildlife documentary footage. Commander Stone and his crew watched with dropping jaws as Captain James gave them a tour of Earth's truly fearsome creatures. That, James pointed to one screen, is a hippopotamus. Looks kind of cute and chunky, right? It kills nearly 500 people a year. Those teeth, they can bite a small boat in half. Stone's weapon lay at his feet, happily chewing a squeaky toy shaped like a space shuttle. The contrast between its gentle playfulness and the scenes on screen was striking. And this, James continued, changing the display, is a honey badger. Size of a small dog, but it fights lions. Actually fights them. And wins. The Alliance crew watched in fascination as footage showed a honey badger shrugging off snake bites and chasing away animals 10 times its size. Impossible, Wells muttered, frantically taking notes. Its hide shouldn't be that tough. Oh, that's nothing, James grinned. Let me show you cassowaries. Imagine a bird taller than me, with claws like daggers that can disembowel a human with one kick. The footage changed to show the massive bird. Several Alliance officers stepped back from the screen instinctively. This is what you should have recreated if you wanted to scare us, James chuckled. Though honestly, someone would probably still try to pet it. Your species tries to pet everything, Stone observed, absent-mindedly scratching his space dog's ears. He'd gotten quite good at finding the right spot. True, James admitted. Here's a box jellyfish, nearly invisible, extremely deadly. And here's a video of someone trying to keep one as a pet. But why? Stone's first officer asked, genuinely puzzled. Why take such risks? Because that's what humans do, James explained. We see something dangerous and think, I wonder if it can be friends. Sometimes it works out amazingly well, like with dogs. Sometimes, well, let's just say our emergency rooms have some interesting stories. The screens filled with more images. Tiny blue-ringed octopuses that could kill with one bite, Portuguese man-of-war jellyfish with tentacles longer than a bus, and tiny poison dart frogs that could kill 10 people with a single touch. And these are just the obvious threats, James continued. Want to see something really scary? Let me tell you about mosquitoes, or better yet, Australian spiders. The Alliance crew watched in horror as James showed them Sydney funnel-web spiders. Even their space dog lifted its head to watch, before deciding its squeaky toy was more interesting. So you see, James concluded, we weren't afraid of your weapon because, well, it's basically a big fluffy sweetheart. Want to know what we consider a real challenge? Try giving a pill to a cat. A cat? Stone asked cautiously. Oh yes, James grinned. Let me show you some cat videos. They're tiny, adorable predators that live in our homes, knock things off tables for fun, and somehow convinced us to worship them as gods in ancient Egypt. As James pulled up cat videos, Stone looked down at his former weapon, now rolled over for belly rubs, and then back at the footage of Earth's actually dangerous creatures. Captain James, Stone said slowly, I believe we may have seriously underestimated your planet's wildlife, and your species' strange desire to befriend everything, no matter how deadly. Want to know the really funny part? James added, that liftoff sequence you used to transport your weapon down here. Several of our scientists have already figured out how to modify it into a better way to rescue injured wildlife. We're calling it the Space Vet Project. Stone just shook his head, watching as his mighty beast tried to catch its own tail. I came here to conquer Earth, he muttered, and instead, I'm learning about venomous snails and something called a platypus. Speaking of platypuses, James brightened, wait until you see these videos. They're like someone made an animal out of spare parts, and yes, they're venomous too. Because on Earth, even our cute things are secretly dangerous. 1 year after the failed invasion, Commander Stone walked through Central Park in New York, a sight that would have seemed impossible months ago. Beside him trotted his former weapon, now named Cosmo, wearing a sparkly collar and wagging his tail at every passing human. Still hard to believe, isn't it? Captain James asked, walking alongside them and holding a coffee. A year ago, you were trying to conquer Earth. Now you're here for the first intergalactic pet show. Stone nodded, watching as Cosmo greeted a group of Earth dogs with cheerful woofs. The huge space dog had learned to be gentle with his smaller Earth cousins, though he still got overexcited sometimes. The Alliance Council was skeptical when I proposed this cultural exchange program, Stone admitted, but after the success of the Space Pet Adoption Initiative, they couldn't deny the benefits. Above them, Alliance ships hung peacefully in the sky, but instead of carrying weapons, they now transported animal rescue teams and veterinary supplies. The Space Vet program had become the galaxy's most successful diplomatic initiative. Did you see the latest statistics? James grinned. Over 5,000 Alliance families have adopted Earth dogs. And that cat sanctuary you built on your home planet, it's already full. Stone rubbed his neck sheepishly. Yes, well, after meeting Mr. Whiskers, he gestured to the cat carrier James was holding, where his recently adopted Earth cat snoozed peacefully. They approached the pet show grounds, where hundreds of Earth families and Alliance visitors mingled. The sight was remarkable. Tall, silver-skinned aliens walking dogs, children playing fetch with space dogs, and even a few brave souls who had adopted what they called space cats, an interesting breed the Alliance had created after learning about Earth's felines. "Commander," Wells called out, hurrying over with a tablet. "The results from the latest friendship study are amazing. The presence of pets has reduced diplomatic tensions by 73%, and you won't believe what happened when we introduced therapy dogs to the Centaurian peace talks." "Let me guess," Stone smiled. "Everyone was too busy petting them to argue." "Exactly," Wells beamed. "Also, that Earth program Puppy Yoga has become the most popular fitness class on our home world." Cosmo suddenly perked up, his ears twitching. A group of school children was approaching, all wearing Space Puppy Fan Club t-shirts. The massive space dog sat politely, just as he learned in training classes, though his tail wagged with barely contained excitement. "Commander Stone," one child called out, "can we pet Cosmo? We brought him treats." "Of course," Stone chuckled. "Just remember what we learned in Space Dog Safety class. Let them sniff your hand first." The children chorused, already practicing the proper greeting technique. As Stone watched Cosmo gently accepting pets and treats, he remembered how differently things could have gone. "You know, James, when I first came to Earth, I thought we were bringing your planet's greatest nightmare. Instead, you accidentally created the galaxy's best therapy dog," James finished, "and sparked the biggest peace initiative in space history. The Alliance Military Committee still isn't happy about our new reputation," Stone admitted. "Being known as the galaxy's pet parents isn't quite as intimidating as they'd like. But being known as the species that made friends with everyone isn't so bad, is it?" Stone watched as more families gathered around Cosmo, who was now demonstrating his favorite trick, the space roll that always made children giggle. Mr. Whiskers had woken up and was regally observing everything from his carrier, occasionally accepting gentle pets from passing admirers. "No," Stone agreed, "it's not bad at all. Though I do have one question." "What's that?" "These dog agility competitions you mentioned. Do you think Cosmo might be interested? He's been practicing the jumps in the ship's new dog park, and—" James laughed. "Commander Stone, are you becoming a proud pet parent?" Stone watched as Cosmo showered a group of delighted children with gentle kisses. "Perhaps," he admitted, "but don't tell the Alliance Council. They still think I'm maintaining a fearsome military image." "Your secret's safe with me," James promised, "though the matching space dog sweaters you ordered might give it away." Above them, Earth's sun shone down on a scene no one could have predicted. Humans and aliens, united not by fear or force, but by the simple, universal joy of loving, and being loved by their pets. And in the middle of it all, a former weapon of war played fetch with children from two worlds, proving that sometimes the best way to change the universe was with a wagging tail and a loving heart.